Hello and welcome to the Monday Night Wars. It is July 8th, 1996, and we are live with WCW Nitro at the Disney MGM Studios in Orlando, Florida. With me is Joseph Rojas, who's in a torrential downpour that you might be able to hear in the background. Joseph, how you doing?
Yeah, I really am. We were just joking before this that I would be the meteorologist for the show. If you guys hear this, I apologize, but usually the system kind of edits out this stuff, so I would be surprised if it caught any of it. But yeah, it is absolutely just going right now. My neighbor, so I'm on the second story right now, and my window looks out to my neighbor, and their garage is open, and their cars are open, and they are scrambling to try to get it all closed, which is hilarious.
I love it. I love that. I love that for them.
Yeah, they're really nice. I don't know why I'm laughing at them.
Hopefully they don't listen to the podcast. They'll go, I heard what you said.
I heard you talking shit, I say.
Oh, man. Got a little Latino heat across the
Yeah.
street, huh?
Yeah,
You better watch yourself then. Better
and
watch
I'm
yourself.
I'm only half Latino, so I can't.
Mm-hmm.
Not a whole lot I can do about it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Latinos,
Whoa, what a segue!
what a segue. I actually want to talk about the Disney MGM Studios first
Yes,
because
let's.
I love this.
I agree.
They're here for a while, for a couple of
Mhm.
weeks. They're at MGM Studios in Orlando, Florida, at Disney World, and it's outdoors. I think they're just letting in people for free. It's like, you're there at the MGM Studios. Oh, you want a ticket to go see WCW Nitro? Here it is. Go watch it. It's such a great venue. I love it. I wish they would do more of this.
WCW does, but I think you're talking about in current wrestling is what you're saying.
Yeah, nowadays.
Yeah, because
Maybe
WCW
maybe
does
it's maybe
WCW
it's
does
too
like
gimmicky. Maybe it's too
yeah.
gimmicky, but I love it.
I kind of disagree. Like, not every week, and obviously you got to pay the bills, so you're not going to want to have like. I'm sure this didn't pay any bills because you got in for free. If you went to Disney World that day, you got in, so you didn't have to pay like an extra charge for it. So it's not like you're paying for a ticket. So obviously you don't want to do it on a weekly basis, but yeah, every once in a while, these kinds of things are fun. I really wish that like WWE would do it. AEW did early on in their first year, and now they really should because they can't sell out anything. So you might as well.
Yeah, why not? Allegedly. Because
No, it's not alleged. It's pretty obvious.
Tony Khan is litigious, so I'm going to say allegedly to anything. He seems like the kind of guy that would sue some fledgling
But,
podcast like ours for
but
something that's factually true, but he's
yeah,
so rich it doesn't matter.
yeah. What's interesting though is I really am going back to the actual what we were talking about. I really like what they've done. So like they took their WCW like quote aluminum logos they have, they put them on top of kind of the awning that is like the teller stand or whatever that you're supposed to go through to get into this studio. They put them on the top of the roof of that, so it's just WCW across, and it looks really cool. They shortened their overall stage to fit the space they have, makes it look a little bit more um uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Not you.
Cozy.
Yeah, cozy, intimate, and way more intimate, right? It's a fun feel, and WCW, their very first episode of Nitro at the Mall of America, great visual. I think this is another great visual. I just like you thoroughly enjoyed it. I was actually really happy when I realized turning on this episode that this is where we were at. I got to give an update real quick. A third car has joined the neighbor squad as now being opened and trying to get. I think they just brought home groceries or something, and they're now scrambling. And I'm going to keep you folks updated as this story continues.
As they get washed down the street. Yeah. Fantastic. I guess just to finish the note on this, the Disney MGM Studio set, I don't remember that many venues. I mean, they go to some great venues that look really cool. I don't really remember many of them. When I close my eyes, I can see this venue. That's how much I like it. It's
Yeah.
fun. Like you said, I can see the turnstile things. It's kind of an Art Deco-y kind of like
Yeah. Yeah.
movie theater kind of pillar turnstile kind of thing, like the spires, and they've got WCW written on it. That plays into the story later. I mean, they use everything. They use the whole set. They use everything. It's fantastic. And we got to move on though, because we've talked about the set for 6 minutes. And speaking of Latinos, Joseph, going back to that segue, Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Dean Malenko for the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. Hell of a match, banger match. Could it be anything else? 12 minutes, 30 seconds. Tell me about it, Joseph.
This is great on so many fronts. I gave this an A. It, being a title match, I'm going to kind of amend my rules a little bit. I think a title match doesn't necessarily always have to have a storyline involved. This kind of does and doesn't with these men, because Ray and Dean have gone against each other a few times now. And Ray has kind of been a pesky thorn in his side, which I admire of how Dean's put him over. I don't know if prior to WCW, if these two men actually worked together. I would assume they have, because I know Dean and Eddie obviously did. I know Dean's traveled all over the world. I don't think Ray had ever gone to Japan at this point. I could be wrong in that. But I'm assuming they've worked together a little bit at least. But man, it looks like they've been working together for 10 years at this point. They do so well. And Mysterio at some point misses a springboard moonsault to the outside of the ring and just hit straight cement, and it was really gnarly. Let me be clear, this was more Mysterio's fault than it was Dean. Like, Dean Malenko tried to get in the way to catch him, and he launched himself way too far to the right. But he makes up for it, does a really good job. Malenko ends up hitting his exploding gut buster, which usually is how he'll finish a match if it's like a not a submission finish. And he hits it. He got the 3 count happens, 1, 2, and on 3 he pulls up Ray's head and shoulders because he wants to screw around with him. You know what? I've beat this guy so easily. I'm gonna keep going. He ends up hitting a very explosive belly to belly, and he pulls up Ray again on the 3 count. 1, 2, pull up. Doesn't let him get the 3 count. And now he goes for a tilt-a-whirl slam, but Ray counters it into a Rana, and it was over. It's a great match. It got an A from me. Rey Mysterio, the new WCW Cruiserweight Champion, and the crowd is hot for it. This is presumably for this crowd because it is at Disney. They've never seen anything like this, so they're just in love. But really, Ray has made a big name for himself in such a short period of time with the WCW fans. So huge moment for everybody.
Fantastic match. So excited that Ray is the champion. And again, Rey Mysterio does not stop this entire match. And I think I'm sure you've seen the interviews too, where they ask Ray, what he says to younger wrestlers. And he says, what I would say to myself if I could is that you don't have to do everything every time. And he
Yeah.
does everything every time. My God, the man puts everything on the line, his body on the line, took a bad bump, as you said, which was pretty nasty. And Dean Malenko is a wrestler's wrestler, and he couldn't save that. So that's how bad it was. But Ray is the champion, and I'm really excited for that. I kind of didn't think they would do it, so I was a little surprised to see it. And maybe it was because, he and Psychosis had such a great match at the pay-per-view. They're like, yeah, we can do this. After the match, though, we got Mean Gene with the Steiners and the Nasty Boys. There's not really much to talk about. Neither of these teams are great on the mic. They don't like each other. That's the premise. That's the point. You have anything to add, Joseph?
I gave it a D, but I will say one part that got me was Scott Steiner is talking, and he says, Mean Gene, I can't agree with how the Harlem Heat won the titles or how they beat us lax week. That's what he says. Lax week, Colonel Parker hit my brother in the head with a cane. And then Rick just goes, it hurt. I fucking died. I was laughing so hard because this has been like, at this point, 3 or 4 minutes of just nonsensical talk. And he says that, and I was just laughing. Rick Steiner doesn't say much more beyond it hurt like that. So it was amusing, but it's not great.
But you know what is great?
What's that?
Blood runs cold, Joseph. We got a Glacier promo. He's coming, except now we're not saying when because we blew past when he was coming. So who knows? There's no date. Some say Glacier is still coming to this day. He just may never he may never arrive. He does, but it takes months. It's
You know,
insane,
I
and
think
they're
he's
still going.
actually this is true. I think he's actually working as a producer now for AEW.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Blood ran cold. But I tell you, Joseph, it is moving at a glacial pace.
I think somebody saw a tweet that I posted and realized how to say that word.
I did see that tweet.
I did that on purpose because I wanted to see if you would go, "Oh, that's how it is."
I think I might even like that tweet just to let you know that I saw you. That I saw you. Anyways, up next, we got Hugh Morris, Big Bubba versus the Blue Bloods. We like the Blue Bloods. Joseph, did we like this match?
It was okay, got a C for me, it wasn't amazing. I do feel like so I think William Regal has said in recent years, man, it is coming down over here. I think William Regal has said in recent years that, the reason that he kinda went back into a tag team is because Dave Taylor wasn't doing anything around this time, and he really wanted, like, to give him an opportunity because he had I think Dave Taylor had actually retired, like, actually in England, had just been like, "Ah, I think I'm done," and he was like, "Well, you're not doing anything, so why don't you come do this with me?" And so that's kinda how this came to be. I don't love it, though. I don't love that like William Regal, or rather Steven Regal, had a really good like month there where he was feuding with Sting, and it led to one of my favorite matches at actually, or it might have actually been my match of the night that week, or that pay per view at Great American Bash. It was a fantastic match and a really good storyline. I thoroughly enjoyed what they're doing, and then they just went right back into him being in a tag team, and it's like, no, like really, you need to. This guy needs to be your next single star. Like he should be for the TV or the US championship. Like you got to be utilizing him with that. And they're not. And it's weird. Now there is in defense of, the booking and, Eric Bischoff and whatnot, there is the problem that William Regal always self-sabotaged at this point in his career. He's been very upfront about that. And one of the great things about William Regal is how much he's been able to give back to the wrestling world. But right now at this time, I don't know if they can fully trust him to be a here every week, sober, fine wrestler. Obviously, he's gonna be a great wrestler, but there is some behind the scenes problems. I don't know how far we're into that at this point. I haven't looked into it, but I do kind of feel like just let him be a singles guy. He could even be this could be his stable, but let Robert Eaton and Dave Taylor be the tag team and let him be the singles guy out of it. I think that would have been fine. But oh well.
It's probably good that William Regal is not a regular singles competitor at this point because he has that neck injury that he doesn't know about that he
Oh,
could have
that's true.
died from. So,
That's true.
maybe the stars aligned here to keep the man alive because we love him and we're glad he's still with us.
100%.
After that, we got WCW Saturday Night, Joseph 605 on TBS, the Superstation. Or is that TNT? No, I think TBS is the Superstation. I can't remember. Anyways,
TBS is the Superstation. You're right.
there you go. TBS, the Superstation, Dungeon of Doom, 8-man tag, whatever. Macho Man, though. Macho Man's there. The Horsemen gonna be there. They're gonna have the Harlem Heat. They're going against Public Enemy, though. Whatever, man. But card, not bad. Not a bad card. But nowhere near as good as our next match. Because we got Eddie Guerrero and Psychosis. And we're hot on both of these gentlemen, Joseph. We are hot. We are almost Latino heat on these two, Joseph. 8 minutes, 33 seconds. Tell me about it.
I thoroughly enjoyed this. It was a B plus. It wasn't as good as the Dean Malenko Ray match to me, but it's another banger cruiserweight match, right? This is going to become the thing that continuously excites the crowd. Again, doing this in Disney, I think made a lot of sense because the crowd stays hyped because you have these great matches going on, especially because a lot of them don't know who they're watching. They just come for a free show. So that makes a lot of sense to me. I also thought it was interesting that they gave Ray a moment in picture where he does a promo. It's not amazing. Ray is very, very new to kind of the promo side of things, especially because he has to do it in English and stuff like that. But really, it kind of they start the trend with Ray where they kind of go like each person who gets a promo, we want to talk about what are your thoughts about what happened last night with the big reveal that Hulk Hogan has joined the New World Order, you know? And so Ray goes in on it and says how sad he is about who the third man ended up being, and he kinda gets a little emotional, or as emotional as he can be, and it was like and also Ray, like, obviously Ray's a very small guy, but he's also very young here, so he looks like a little child, really sad about Hulk Hogan betraying WCW, and it was kind of, like, sad at the same time as kind of amusing. Overall, Guerrero ultimately hits the frog splash and gets the win, but again, this is just kind of another WCW on fire match, right? This is probably 2 matches on this show so far that I could say like, "Yeah, go back and watch both these, you'll have a good time."
Yeah, I really liked the Ray promo. As you said, it's kind of he's very young, and it's kind of like a "Say it ain't so, Hulk, say it ain't so." It's I liked it. It's very emotional. He seems really upset and heartbroken by it. So, I thought that was good. As you said, the match is good. I mean, Eddie Guerrero, Psychosis, they're 2 great guys. Another great cruiser match. I'm really liking this cruiserweight stuff they got going here. After that, though, we got Mean Gene with the giant Kevin Sullivan and Jimmy Hart. And Joseph, you might be surprised. I didn't hate this one.
Really?
I did not hate this one.
I did, but I think that the things I liked, you'll have liked too, so I'm interested to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, I liked that I felt like Kevin Sullivan actually kind of made a point, which is unusual. You
Okay, no, we're off we've completely got different
We've
notes. Go ahead.
diverged. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood. And I'm sorry that I could not travel both,
Jesus
Joseph. Yeah,
Christ.
well, you want me to do the whole poem? I memorized it.
Please
I
do it.
memorized it in school. No, I'm not doing that. We got time to keep here. Come on. Kevin Sullivan says, "Hey, I've been trying to destroy Hulkamania for like 2 years, and Hulk Hogan up and does it himself. But not to worry, because as long as Giant's got the title, Hulk Hogan can't do anything about it." I didn't hate it. What didn't you like?
So first off, I don't he wasn't that succinct at all. So here's what I liked about the promo. I actually liked what Jimmy Hart brought to the table, and I liked what the Giant brought to the table. Jimmy Hart is beyond disappointed, actually kind of so emotionally that he just doesn't want to talk about it. And you kind of understand, right? Jimmy Hart has been the Hogan guy forever. So it makes a lot of sense from a storyline standpoint why he would be so kind of crestfallen on this situation. And I apologize if you guys are hearing my cat. She is very scared because of the storming going on. Anyway,
Storms, cats. My God, man, what's next?
anyways, so Jimmy Hart does that. Sullivan, like you said, makes his point. I don't think his point was that succinct. Like I said, I think then he goes into Benoit, and then he says every time he looks in the mirror, he sees Benoit. Okay. And then he just kind of rambles a bit more. And then the Giant points out that he beat Hogan for the belt. He's the one who beat Hogan. So don't worry about it. Like they're not going to get the belt. I'm the one who beat him. And I thought again, what Giant and Hart brought to the table were both good. They both made sense. Sullivan, for me, I've completely lost faith in everything he's doing at this point.
My God, I guess we can. It is funny you mentioned the Jimmy Hart thing, because Jimmy Hart is a Hulk Hogan guy, right? Jimmy Hart, he's actually in real life, like in Hulk Hogan's inner circle, and in his stable, in his inner circle, whatever you want to say. And he was one of the people that was apprehensive about Hulk Hogan doing this. So, in some ways, Jimmy might just be telling it like it is, just a little concerned about the whole thing. But overall, I thought it was not terrible. On other things that aren't terrible, we got the Steiner Brothers versus the Nasty Boys, which is not terrible because the Steiner Brothers are in it, Joseph. Wouldn't you agree? You better agree. 6 minutes, 8 seconds.
So I like the Steiner brothers. I don't like the Nasty Boys. I thought this was fine though. I gave it a C. Wasn't amazing. Steiner's hit a ton of suplexes. Robert Parker comes out to swing his cane at Scott Steiner this time, but he misses and he hits Jerry of the Nasty Boys, and then Scott gets the pinfall. Okay. Again, why is Robert Parker with Harlem Heat? Don't worry, it'll get even more confusing next week. Uh, this isn't necessarily bad by any stretch. It's a very kind of simple match, but it doesn't really do anything for anybody involved, in my opinion. Then Mean Gene interviews the Nasty Boys, and Jerry says they need to change. And then Brian Knobbs says that they don't condone Hogan, but he also doesn't really see anything wrong with it. And then Gene cuts him off, like, won't even let him talk anymore. Nope, I'm not even, no, I don't care. You're against what we're saying, so you don't get the mic. And I thought that was a nice touch. I actually kind of enjoyed that segment. I thought the Nasty Boys did a pretty good job of what they were doing. Again, Nasty Boys, notoriously backstage friends, especially Brian Knobbs with, the Hulkster. So there's this kind of, again, blurring the lines between reality situation going on. I thought that was pretty good too. This whole night of that most people will do really well with it.
Hey, the realism is what really takes WCW to the next level. So why not blur some lines? And you're right. The Nasty Boys, I mean, they're in WCW because Hogan brought them. They're friends of Hogan. That's why they're here. It makes sense that they can see it differently. And I like how Gene shuts him down because that's really kind of driving home this point that, like, this is not a story. This is not made up. This is really happening. And we're not talking about it. We just want nothing to do with this. After that, we got hour number 2, Joseph. My God, all the fireworks. And Eric is here. Eric Bischoff. He's with us. He was MIA last night for the pay-per-view. Didn't know where he was. Couldn't find him. Commentary table didn't know. Eric, where you been? He just got busy. That seems kind of suspicious, don't you think, Joseph? Just got busy during pay-per-view night?
I can't believe you, Scott. This man got power bombed through the stage a month ago, and you're questioning his loyalty.
In the immortal words of Bobby Heenan, but what side is he on? I don't know. I just don't think we're getting the whole story here,
They don't,
Joseph.
the facts don't add up, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're about to leave, and then you said just one more thing.
Yeah, I got a lot of concerns.
You went, you say you've never been to Mexico, but why is there a sombrero in the backseat of your car?
Yeah, very true. That's a great point.
Bro, we should do a freaking Columbo watch-thon.
We're doing a Columbo pod now? Bro, this pod's already too much work. I'm not doing a Columbo pod.
No.
I'll get a text from you tomorrow going, hey, were you serious about the Columbo pod? I know you, bro.
You don't know shit.
Mm-hmm. As you're deleting the text. It's like, just maybe say that for later. Anyways, we got a match. We got Ric Flair, the U.S. heavyweight champion, versus Jim Powers for the title. Kind of feel like I know how this one's gonna go, Joseph.
You do?
5 minutes 41 seconds. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
I'd be hard pressed to give Flair a C in a one or less than a C in a 1-on-1 match. He gets it here. He gets a C. Obviously, Jim Powers not amazing. Flair does a good job of making him look so good, though, and this is kind of what Flair's MO is, right? Anybody that he wrestles looks like they are, number one, great in the ring. They, number two, look like they have a potential of winning, and then obviously Flair does it without ever making himself look weak. Like, there's a moment where Ric Flair gets thrown out of the ring by Jim Powers. He's like, gets clothesline out of the ring or gets thrown in the ring or something. And he falls out of the ring and springs up and then just starts dancing with the Flair. Like, he just starts dancing with woman and like starts twirling her and stuff and spinning around and then rolls right back into the ring. Like nothing happened, and then goes right back into the wrestling match. Flair's fantastic. Ultimately, he wins with the figure 4. Obviously he should. I thought this was fine.
I'm shocked. I thought Jim Powers was going to win, Joseph. You proved me wrong. Clearly, Jim Powers wasn't going to win. Ric Flair, I just enjoy watching the man work, so I can't say anything negative about the match. After that, though, we got the Horsemen, minus Benoit. And we're talking about Hulk Hogan, Joseph. They're saying, Arn is, they're bad guys, but even Arn's like, this is kind of messed up what you did, Hulkster. We're not role models, but you are. And look what you're doing to the kids. That's messed up because Arn, with those dad glasses, he's a family man. Mongo, talking about the apocalypse or something. I guess it makes sense. They're the 4 horsemen,
He does specifically say, like the name implies, so he sets it up. I'll give him credit. Yeah.
There's a point in there, I guess.
Yeah.
There's a point. And then Rick really is there to put a bow on it for us. Where he just says he don't give a shit because he's gonna go all night long. Woo. And I
I
loved it, Joseph.
I
What'd you think?
can't believe you don't have my favorite line written
Give
down
it.
that he says.
Give your
He
favorite
says
line.
he says, "Outsiders, insiders, until you can heal the sick, wake the dead, and drive little girls right out of their head. Woo." That's it. There's no continuation of that. He just says that, then it's just done.
And we don't need more. We don't need more. I love it. After that, though, we go to Bischoff. Bischoff tells us that apparently Luger is in a bad way. He was injured last night at the pay-per-view, had to be taken out on a stretcher. Man, that's scary, don't you think? Don't you think, Joseph?
I agree. It's very scary.
It is. It is. God, I hope he comes out with a neck brace, because that's how you know when a
Yeah.
wrestler's really hurt.
Yeah. If they don't have it, it seems suspect that they are
Yeah, I don't
actually
believe it.
hurt.
If there's not rib tape or a neck brace, is he really hurt?
Yeah.
After that, we find out why Benoit was not with the Horsemen. It's because he's got a match. He was getting ready for a match, and I'm sure it's going to be a good one. Who's he got? Craig Pittman, Teddy Long. I feel bad for Craig Pittman. I got to be honest. 2 minutes, 43 seconds. Joseph, tell me about it.
I gave this a D. These men are not on the same level, and it shows. And Benoit, look, he wins. And I thought the way that he won was pretty creative. He gets the crippler crossface, and Teddy Long comes in because he needs to throw the damn towel. And that's how Pittman loses. His manager decides, nope, he can't take anymore, and that's it. He technically never taps. And I thought that was fine, but the match is not good.
Someone watched Rocky 4 and said, I got an idea.
Yeah.
Throw the damn towel.
But also,
Yeah.
like that's
Yeah.
the best Rocky though. So
It is quite good. It is quite good. I watched a Rocky Balboa for the first time.
oh my God, that's a great one.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
liked
great
it.
film.
I
Yeah.
liked it. I like Sly Stallone. I like him pretty much in anything he's ever been in.
That is a bold statement.
So name something. Name something you don't. Sly Stallone could be in a bad movie, and I'd be like, but Sly was good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying that the movies are all
Oh,
good.
Sly don't miss. The
Okay.
movies might miss, but Sly don't miss. I
You
also watched Rambo a couple nights ago. I was on a Sly fix. And I
clearly.
watched. Yeah,
Solid
I watched.
invite, by the way. Solid invite.
Well,
Appreciate it.
let me know next. I'll let you know next time. Yeah, the Rambo, not the most recent one, but the one before it. I really like it. It's a very simple movie, and I like it. Anyways, this is the Sly Stallone podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We've changed midstream. We're no longer doing the Monday Night Wars. It's now about the filmography of Sylvester Stallone. So Rocky was his first. Anyways, moving on. Sting versus Arn Anderson, the main event. 12 minutes, 18 seconds. Tell me about it, Joseph.
Hear me out. A biopic about Sting, who's played by Sly Stallone.
Sly Stallone now, 70-something years old. Sly Stallone.
He gets played now. Sting.
Oh, okay. No, I like it. I like it.
It's the final run kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Ooh. Who plays Darby Allin?
Macaulay Culkin.
I was going to say Chris Kattan. Because when he's Mango, he wears those little shorts that Darby Allin wears.
Yeah, there you go.
He's already got the outfit. He just got to dye it black.
Jesus Christ.
Allegedly. Don't sue us, Darby. I'm sorry.
Oh, I love it. Oh, man. All right, let's go back to the match now.
We've veered off topic.
Yeah. I gave this an A-. I loved it. Bischoff says the back is telling him that they may have guests. He's teeing it up. The outsiders or the insiders, whoever they are, may be here. Arn counters a leapfrog into a spine buster like only Arn can. I don't know if you know this, Scott, but I love a good spine buster.
And Arn got the best in the game.
100%. This match, I will say, is not perfect, but these two will not give a bad show. The limo pulls up backstage, but it remains closed. As the match continues, eventually Nash and Hall do leave the limo and come down to the ring. Arn and Sting stand united as kind of a WCW versus the Outsiders kind of thing. And out of nowhere, Savage comes into the ring to their aid. The Outsiders, being outnumbered, back up, and Sting counters a DDT from Arn into a Scorpion Deathlock and gets the win. Gene then interviews Sting, and Sting says he isn't surprised by the Outsiders, but he is surprised by Hogan. He should have known because Hogan was always too busy in limos and movies and making cameo appearances. He says he made a mistake, but Hogan made a bigger mistake. It's a good thing you told them to believe in themselves, referring to all the kids, because they sure as heck can't believe in you. Great, great line. And then for some reason, Macho comes back and Gene has to interview him. And he says, I got a message for Hollywood Hogan. But what I want to tell you and what I want to do to you, I can't say here on television, especially here at Disney, which is fucking phenomenal that he said that. I loved it. But you take the worst thing you can think about and you multiply it by the number 9 million, and then you multiply it by infinity and beyond. It would be just like one grain of sand in the Sahara Desert, brother, because it's really, really scary what I'm thinking and gonna do to you. Yeah. Fucking great. How do you not love that? Scott, I need a moment. That's so beautiful.
It is one of the best, I think, Sting promos of all time. I really liked this Sting promo. And Macho Man is just another just absolute banger, nuts promo. Also, you know, just I wish Macho Man was still here with us today, just point blank. But I wish he was with us even more because I'd love to get him on the pod and I just would talk about Toy Story with him because that man
You
clearly
love Toy
loves
Story.
Toy
Yeah.
Story.
There was Macho Man before 1995 and Macho Man after 1995, and there is a clear divide.
Because I have heard To Infinity and Beyond so many times out of his mouth. That shit left a lasting impact on that man's life. And I gotta know more. I gotta know more. No, I liked all of that. It's great. And then after that, I mean, Mean Gene, my God. Now he's with the Outsiders. He's got his like penny loafers on and he's like running across this place. His dogs must be barking. Hulk Hogan isn't here. It's kind of funny because they were talking about how, Sting says he should have known that Hogan was a bad guy because Hogan couldn't be bothered to be on the show. He was always, in limos or making movies or all kinds of stuff. And he's not here. I think that's actually great for the storyline that he's not here. I mean, the reason they're obviously doing that is because less is more, I think, with this. You don't want to overdo it. I think that's what they're doing now. I think it's really smart, but it also
Boy,
makes sense in the
boy, they
context.
should have learned from themselves immediately.
Yeah, yeah. But I think as of now, I mean, it's great
Yeah,
and it fits the
yes, you're right.
storyline, right? And I thought this was another great promo with Nash and Hall. They're talking about Hogan, and they're really pumping him up because obviously he's on their team now. I thought this all around was a great way to end it. What'd you think?
I agree. I loved Nash's line where he says, I felt like Mark Furman at the Apollo. Geez, the people were rough on us last night. I'm going to assume, of course, you know who Mark Furman is. I actually had to look him up, but you know all things OJ.
Love me some Juice, who didn't do it. Court of law said he didn't do it. That's all I'm
That's
saying.
true.
That's
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 true.
my story, and I'm sticking to it. Mark Furman was the Los Angeles police detective. I believe he was the detective
Correct.
tasked with investigating the murder of OJ's wife and his ex-wife and her boyfriend. And Mark had a history of saying some things that could be considered racist. Little things like use of the N-word. And
Just all the possible worst things you could say, he
yeah,
probably said. Yeah.
and that was used against him at trial to very effectively question his integrity and his ethics, and as a result, the entire investigation.
Yeah, and he, just for no connected reason resigned the next year. That being said, so the Mark Furman line is great because what he's comparing it to is if this man was at the Apollo Theater. I'm gonna assume not everybody knows what the Apollo Theater is. It's an I know you do. I'm just explaining for the listeners. It's an incredibly notorious and illustrious theater in Harlem, in New York. It is one of the most important, I guess you could say, landmarks for kind of the idea of soul, right? For the African American community. It's had just one amazing, amazing, whether it's been a musician, singer, comedian after another. People like Dizzy Gillespie, James Brown, Aretha Franklin, Nat King Cole, Otis Redding, Sam Cooke, Ella Fitzgerald, John Coltrane, Miles Davis, Duke Ellington, BB King. I think Richard Pryor played there a few times. I think one of his specials might even be from there. I can't remember, but like this is a place where you could celebrate Black excellence, right? It's very important, deservedly so, to African Americans. So the idea of this man having to be on stage with a predominantly African American audience and like just talk, yeah, that would be really rough. So comparing what the NWO did to that, let me be very clear here. Kevin Nash is incredibly left wing. I've never gotten the sense this guy's racist at all, but he does love picking fun at racist people. He's always done that. If you look at his social media, he does it all the time. Whether you like or don't like him, I would say I think that's pretty fair as far as he goes. It's a really good line comparing kind of the heat they got from the crowd to that situation. It's also a very Nash driven line, right? Like you kind of have to connect the dots of what this reference means. And that's a very Nash thing to do. Like it's references that you could make a case that Jerry does these too, but Jerry's an idiot and they're not clever at all. That being said, I thoroughly enjoyed it. You mentioned that you thought this was a very good promo. I again agree. I like that Scott Hall then takes it over and says that this portion of WCW Monday Nitro is brought to you by the Outsiders and Hulk Hogan. And this is kind of implying the NWO really is taking over the show, which was kind of the idea they wanted to do, is that Monday Nitro would actually become NWO Monday Nitro. That was one of the long games that Eric Bischoff had kind of constructed. It's an A, especially because these two guys are just cool and they just every week you want to see them on TV, especially with what they're doing here. The show got a B minus overall. It had some misses, had some kind of less than other things, had some really great things up front, but then it kind of petered out for a while until it kind of got back to this. There's a lot of peaks and valleys, but overall, really fun show.
Yeah, it was overall, I think, start to finish great. They had big shoes to fill after the bombshell that was the pay-per-view last night. Hogan turning heel, first time in his career. The NWO has formed. I think it's the first time they've actually used the term NWO. Hogan gets it wrong. He calls it New World Organization. But, the acronym still works, whatever. I think it's the first time they've really used it, and it's exciting. But can Raw hold a candle to this, Joseph? Well, we're going to find out, because we're moving over to the Brown County Expo in Green Bay, Wisconsin, July 8th, 1996, Monday Night Raw, Joseph. And what's our first match? Joseph? Because you love it.
Our first match, actually, we don't even go into our first match. We get an announcement.
Yeah, but I wanted to play off that you don't like Ultimate Warrior, but fine. Do your announcement.
Okay. Well, Gorilla Monsoon gives an announcement. He is doing kind of a state of the WWF address, and he is letting everyone know that as of that day, Ultimate Warrior is suspended indefinitely for no showing events. And I think they keep saying that he has to do like some sort of something bond to get up.
Yeah, he has to. I wrote it down. Let me see here. Yeah, an appearance bond.
I don't know what that means.
I guess he's basically taking out a loan, and if he doesn't show, he has to pay the bond. Like it seems like it's like insurance for him to show up, and if he doesn't show up, he has to pay WWF for like a no show fine or something.
Yeah. So he says that he's suspended it, and then we immediately go into an Ultimate Warrior match because these are pre-taped, so they kind of had to make adjustment. I kind of think this is the wrong way to do it, though, because we go into this match, and it's Ultimate Warrior versus who, Scott?
Owen Hart, the King of Hearts himself, multiple Slammy award-winning Owen Hart, I should mention.
That's a good point. That's a great point, and you should never forget to mention that, I think.
Absolutely.
We end up in this match getting a picture-in-picture with HBK and Ahmed Johnson. They now have to kind of address the fact that the person who was supposed to be their third man just got suspended while that guy is wrestling at the time, but he's suspended, but he's wrestling, but they have to pick another guy because he's suspended. Okay, so they got to get a third guy, I guess.
Why not just do this next week?
Yeah, I'm leading up to that. I'm leading up to that. So he kind of mentions HBK mentions that, right? He says they won't make anybody wait. They got him. He's here tonight, or he's coming tonight. They're gonna let everybody know who the third guy is, right? And then Ahmed starts saying whatever it is that Ahmed starts saying. I just don't have the patience to sit there and pause and write and pause and write and try to figure out everything he's saying because it's just so difficult. And it's so bad that HBK on camera starts giggling, and it made me laugh. We go back to the match, and the first thing I noticed, the crowd is incredibly empty. And also, like the whole front row are like high school to college kids, and they're wearing those old Burger King crowns. You remember those ones you would get with like your Happy Meal, or not your Happy Meal, whatever the Burger King version
Man,
is.
you can still get those.
Do they? Oh, can you?
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna
Well,
get you one now.
I don't. Well, see, I don't go to Burger King anymore because they wronged me, and you know that.
I do. I do. Burger King, if you're listening, my man wants to get his burger lettuce wrapped, and you won't do it.
Won't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, you won't be
They said
free advertisement on this podcast.
no, sir.
Burger.
They said, BK, you can have it your way. Unless you're Joseph Rojas, then go fuck yourself. We don't give a shit that you can't have gluten, even though you've been a long supporter of the Whopper and said that it's far superior to anything McDonald's has. But we don't give a shit about you, and we're not gonna fucking give you a Whopper ever again because it's gonna always be on a bun. And that's the bottom line because Burger King said so, is bullshit.
You gotta at Burger King when you post this on the Twitter. We'll see if we can use our clout and our 30 listeners to make
Hey,
something happen
We're,
here for
we're
you.
in the 40s now, bro. We're in the 40s. We're moving on up.
Oh! Watch yourself, Burger King. You're gonna go bankrupt.
Yeah, 100%. All 40 of us gonna go on strike same day. Anyways, so they have these in the front row. It's really funny. Warrior ends up winning the match because of course he does. It's ridiculous and stupid. And then Camp Cornette comes out and beats the crap out of him. Now this was clearly supposed to set up for a thing of him returning or whatever, but because like this is all pre-taped, so they had already done this, right? We've done multiple weeks at this venue. What I don't get about this is it was pre-taped. You already had an injury out of the Warrior thing. Just don't even bring it up. Instead, what happens is because Vince McMahon is a very petty person and has to kind of make sure everybody knows that like, oh, I was justified in my actions. So like, look, just to be clear, I agree that Warrior should have been suspended. I 100% agree, but I just don't think you need to bring it up on TV. No one needed to know that. It was unnecessary. And you make this whole big song and dance, which you could have done the next week. Hey, Warrior's actually hurt and we got to replace him. Who are we going to replace him with? And then just never have him on TV again. And you've already got your out. It's right there. But instead, they rewrite and they clearly, like I've said this before, they clearly do a lot of commentary in post because this match is all that. The commentary is not having anything to do with what the clear setup was. It's this new idea and this new idea of no more warrior, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, bro, you could have just, like you said, just postponed this 1 week, said he was hurt, ignored it because it's not like this dude's jumping in WCW and doing anything anyways. Like, yeah, he will eventually go to WCW, but it's gonna be just as bad as you guys had. So who gives a shit? Just move on. They make a whole thing about this Warrior thing. It's really kind of a waste of time. Not only does match get a D, but that whole like beginning segment thing, and then we go right back into another HBK and Ahmed bit right after this match, and it's like, what are we doing? Because then HBK says this is how Camp Cornette is. Totally fine. Like they're gonna ambush, one of our guys. That makes sense. But again, that was the storyline you could have used, and then Ahmed buries Warrior by saying their new third man won't be walked all over like Warrior was. And it's like, dude, why do you need to do any of this? None of this needed to happen. Just let him get hurt, storyline wise, and then move on to the next week. And now you've got an easy to tell storyline. Whatever. It's a mess.
It's insane. I don't understand this at all. They could even have had this, like, he's no showing stuff and all that. If you really wanted to, you could just do it next week. I mean, yeah, he's injured, but you can say he's injured, and on top of the fact that he's been no showing events and those sorts of things, because apparently he has. I like, that's not untrue. He apparently is not showing up to things. He's not being a team player because he's the Ultimate Warrior, and that's how he is. And so they want to be done with him, but they already had the out. They didn't have to add insult to injury, and they didn't have to do it in this way. The whole thing is nuts. And you're right. I love the final jab from Ahmed Johnson, too. It's like, my God, how far are you guys going to go? Apparently all the way. All the way. I also like how they must have watched the pay-per-view last night and gone, "Aw, shit." Because they immediately have a mystery third man. We have a
Yeah,
mystery
right.
third man, too.
Mom, can we have a mystery third man? We have a mystery third man at home.
Yeah, well, and obviously these are pre-recorded, but clearly these things were done after
Yes,
this
this
was
whole
recorded.
bit was clearly done in post. Yeah.
Yeah, it probably was. It seems like it was probably done on Monday, because it seems unlikely that WCW and WWF would have this exact same gimmick at the exact same time. I guess, to be fair, WCW has been doing the Who is the Mystery Third Man for a couple of weeks now, but it's
Right.
very clearly WWF is just copying. There's
Yeah.
there's no doubt in my mind that there's, like, people are really hyped about that third man. We should have a third man too. It is completely different and not at all interesting this time. I'm not interested in who his third man is. I don't care who it is. It's not gonna be anyone interesting. I can already tell. And I don't even remember who the third man is. I just already know that I'm gonna be disappointed, because it's Hulk Hogan turning heel. So I don't give a shit, right? After that, we got a Savio Vega, Justin Hawk, Bradshaw match, and we got a little interference by Brian Pillman. Joseph, tell me about this.
I thought this was weird because they really Brian Pillman just kind of walks by him and they kind of bump into each other, like Savio Vega and Brian Pillman. They don't do anything. There's no real words or exchange. There's no like moment where like the mics get onto them. You don't hear anything. Then we go into this match and like, wow, look how far Justin Hawk Bradshaw has fallen. Like this dude had an undefeated streak, and then they just gave him one of the lousiest losses out of nowhere, and he's lost like everything since then. I don't really know why. I was fine with him. He's not the most interesting thing you have, but he's fucking better than, character wise, better than Duke the Dumpster DeRossi or the plumber we're going to get next week. It just didn't really make any sense to me. The Salvio Vega wins. It's the right man who should win. Obviously, I think, yeah, you got to go with Savio Vega. I gave this a C minus. The match is fine overall. It's not great. I didn't want to give it a D because I think everybody did the best they could in there. Commentary is kind of an ear sore, like normal. Again, this is just like, man, there's really nothing that WWF could do at this moment that would top anything WCW is doing. And I thought WCW had an okay show by their comparison lately. They didn't have the greatest show I've ever seen. And WWF just came out with just a stinker.
And then at the end of the match, so Savio Vega wins, and then after the match, Bradshaw hits him with the cowbell, and he's out. I don't care. I don't care about either of these guys, honestly. I mean, we like Savio Vega, but I mean, Savio Vega's like in nothing stories.
Yeah.
So why do I care? After that, though, we go back to Sean and Ahmed. They're holding court out here. And again, their mystery third man, he's on the way. And then they're also talking shit about the smoking guns. What is going on, Joseph?
You know what's going on, Scott?
What? I need to know.
Another segment of Jim or Jerry, Jerry or Jim. Which one could it be?
Well,
this is the
that's the highlight
of the episode.
That's the highlight of the night. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is the part of the episode where I give Scott Kaufman two quotes, one from Jim Cornette, the other from Jerry the King Lawler, and he has to guess which one is each quote, Jim or Jerry. So, Scott, here's the first quote. All Shawn Michaels and Ahmed Johnson can do is go to the local Texaco, give a bum $50 to be their third man, and come in and get his butt kicked by Camp Cornette. That's quote one. Quote two is, That Phineas is such an idiot. He loves his girl so much he almost told her. Which one is Jerry and which one is Jim?
I feel like you gave me a softball this week. Uh, First one is Jim Cornette. Second one is Jerry the Kang Lawler.
I was actually like I was gonna try to make it as like close as I could. Like let me get the best quote I could get from Jerry Lawler and like the worst quote I could get from Jim Cornette. And then I was just like, oh man, you just can't help yourself. You just have to be the worst on commentary at all times, don't you? So yeah, there we go. Yeah, you got it right. And with it, you get a lifetime supply of top ramen. So there you go.
Hey, I like Top Ramen.
But specifically, Oriental flavor.
You know, I don't know if I've ever had that.
You never
What
had
what is
that?
Orient? No, what is Oriental flavor? Tell me, because
So
we're already at 54 minutes, so why not go over talking about Oriental flavored Top Ramen?
yeah, so this is a thing. If you grew up in the '90s, you didn't know that that was apparently racist, and that was a flavor. That was a flavor you could get readily at any store. Was Top Ramen Oriental flavor? I think now they call it like teriyaki or something like that. They've renamed it. They've renamed it something else. So you can still get it. If you actually look up on their website, if you go, whatever happened to Top Ramen Oriental flavor, because I've done this, you look it up on Google, it'll pull up their website and it'll say, hey fans, we know you love this flavor. Now it's called this, blah, blah, blah. And it's like they just kind of brush it under the rug, like, oh yeah, shit, that was maybe not the best way to name that. It's now called this. So there you go.
I like this teriyaki flavored Top Ramen. I'm in. Thanks, Joseph. We do not get any money from Top Ramen. To be clear, we get money from no one but our Patreon subscribers. Thank you. See how I did that?
I love that. I love that.
You know what I didn't love?
What's that?
This next thing, because it's kind of like what we just did, but worse. Because they have this weird segment where they do there's a bunch of video clips from like different shows that they've done, and Vince thanking everybody for their support, and no one's coming to these things.
Yeah.
Like you can tell. It's just it's when I saw this, I was like, oh, you guys are in trouble and you know it. That's what I felt like when I saw this. Do you have anything to say about this?
No, it was sad.
Yeah, they in trouble. After that, though, we get the slam of the week, where Mankind gave Jake the Snake the mandible claw, which is not a slam of the week, but you know, whatever. Whatever. What are we doing? I don't know. I don't know. Next up, though, is the main event, because I want to be done with this. Davey Boy Smith and the man they call Vader with Jim Cornette and Diana Hart Smith versus the Godwins, Henry and Phineas with Hillbilly Jim. Joseph, tell me about this barn burner of a match.
It got a C. It was okay. The Camp Cornette won. There's nothing to talk about. It's just actually, you know what is interesting is Undertaker has his podcast 6 Feet Under now, and Phineas O. Godwin was on there, and or no Phineas, what is it? Phineas something Godwin. Is it O. Godwin? No, Phineas. 'Cause it's Pig. His is Pig.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyways, so Phineas was on there and they talked about the slop bucket incident with Sonny, and this dude was super proud of it. So like, fuck that dude. Like totally cool with it. Like, oh yeah, that was a good thing to do. And like everyone was like people in the comments were like, well, you know, she did kill a guy. Like, yeah, that was way later, bro. That doesn't fucking count. You can't justify your shitty actions literally by somebody else's shitty actions. Anyways, so fuck that dude. This match was whatever.
Yeah, not great. While you were saying that, I looked up what the middle initial for Phineas was. We don't know. It's just I. So,
Gotcha.
So there we go. It's just Phineas I. Godwin. After that, though, again, well, I guess before that, we had to talk about this because it upset me. The WWF Superstar line, which remember they made fun of WCW for doing this and how they're doing it, which I have to mention every time. But more importantly, you got to call in because they're talking about how apparently there's a love triangle between Goldust, Marlena, and Sable. And I don't like this at
Oh
all.
God, I forgot. But yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Don't like it, Joseph. Do you like it?
Nope, not a fan.
All right. After that, though, we go split screen with Cornette and Sean and Ahmed to reveal their mystery partner. Are you excited, Joseph? Do you wanna know who it is?
Tell me, Scott, tell me.
It's Psycho Sid.
I'm honestly okay with that.
I mean, it's
It's
fine, but,
fine.
like, okay.
I really liked how Jim Cornette reacted to it. I thought he sold it really well. I gave this one thing I gave a B. I thought this was pretty well done overall. I thought it was fine how they tried to tease throughout the night. Again, I think they could have done this next week and played it off the injury thing, but whatever. So yeah, I thought this was okay. Jim Cornette sold it for me. And I know you're going to want to know how I felt about the show. So my show grade for this is worse than Nitro. That's my grade.
Well, no. No. That's my rating. No.
Yeah, whatever Nitro was, this did worse. That's all that matters.
We loved everything about Nitro this week. We loved MGM Studios.
Yeah,
All of the matches were pretty good.
pretty okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the worst one was probably Chris Benoit and Craig Pittman, but it's Chris Benoit, so whatever. And then was there a good match tonight on Raw? Was there a good match?
No, there was in fact not a good match.
So there you have it. And we don't need to do the ratings anymore because we're into the 83 weeks, Joseph. WCW wins, and I can see why.
Yeah, no mystery there.
It's a dark time for Raw, and it's a dark time for us watching Raw. But we're doing it so you don't have to.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye, guys. Hey, everybody, it's Joseph. And guess what? Not only can you listen to us every Monday on Spotify, but you can find us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and YouTube Podcasts as well. Just search for Monday Night Wars Podcast. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us on Twitter at MON Night Wars Pod, on Instagram at Monday Night Wars Podcast, or just email us at mnwpodcast@gmail.com. And finally, subscribe to our Patreon at Monday Night Wars Podcast. For $2 a month, you get every pay-per-view from WCW and WWF during this era, as well as additional content later on. Once again, thank you for listening. We'll see you here next time on the Monday Night Wars Podcast.